Hey everybody, it's Ben Loope. Looks like this is probably going to be the view you're going to see for this entire duration of the video. In this video, we're going to be changing out the stock shifter for the MGW shifter. So we're going to go through the installation. And one thing I wanted to touch on that I've not seen anybody do yet is show exactly the difference in the throw between the original shifter. So what I was going to do is just find a point, to measure from, get the total distance from extreme third to extreme fourth, and see what the difference is between the original shifter and the new MGW shifter. First part of this video is just going to be a step-by-step of removing the original shifter and installing the MGW shifter. Let's get rolling on it. First thing I want to do is, there's third gear, there's fourth gear. So I'm going to go ahead and get a measurement. We'll just start from a point on the dash here. I'm gonna measure right, it says Momo right here on the top of the steering wheel. I'm sorry, on right top of the shifter here. So let's just, all we're really looking for is some distance here. So from the volume knob is 4 1/4, 4 inches and 1/4 to the longest distance. Yeah, 7 1/2. So 7 1/2 inches. Let's double check that again. 4 1/4 to 7 1/2. 4 1/4 to 7 1/2. So that's about a 3 1/4 inch throw. So 3 1/4 throw between the longest throw, third to fourth. All right, so then let's get everything changed out. And the next thing we'll be seeing is get everything changed, pulled out, get everything put back in. And then I'm going to remeasure that and see what kind of difference we get. One thing I think we're going to see big time is where the shifter kind of sits. It's going to sit much lower. That's another thing. Heck, let's do that. Let's do it. It's going to be a rough, not going to be perfect kind of thing here, but I'll do it from right here at the coin slots here to the highest point of the shifter is about 8 1/2. 8 1/2 inches to the top of the shifter. Now this is a Saleen. There's some rumor, and I may be able to look at it and tell, but I feel like this is an actual original Mustang GT shifter. With the Saleen, they came with a Momo shift knob. So I kind of think that's what's happening here. Everything's original. So again, just double checking myself here. From here to the top of the shifter, 8 1/2 inches. All right, let's get rolling. So first thing is, get this shifter knob off, maybe. I messed that up. God, they got... Not looking good to get this thing off here. I don't want to screw up my shifter. All right, so next thing I got to do is try to figure out how to get this off there. They've probably got some thread sealing on there. Ooh. Oh, I think I moved. Okay. Yeah, I think this is moving more than that's moving, so I'm gonna probably take a tool and try to hook onto that. All right, so here we go. Try to wrap this a little bit, keep from marring this up too much. Yep. There we go. I think I got it moving. Huh. think I know what may be going on here. I think what this is a kind of a lock to be able to set your shifter exactly where you want it. So I got to get this. So right then I was loosening it, at least that was what I was thinking. But actually what I think I was doing was tightening that up against this shift knob. So I got to loosen that down so this shift knob can come up. At least that's my thought. It definitely moved. There we go. So now I'm going down with it. There we go. Okay. So now we can see what's going on here. There is a lock screw here with an Allen key. So gotta find an Allen key. Being a Momo, we'll go metric. We'll guess at that. We'll guess this one, 2.5. Ooh, goodness gracious, look at that, first try. Okay, so we'll see. I may be screwed here a little bit. I don't know. We'll see how this fits on the MGW shifter. So this has got the Momo, which has got these pinch bolts that go all the way around as opposed to screwing onto the threads. That may still work. I would like to retain the original Saleen Momo shifter. We'll see where that goes. And so that's exactly what it was. This just kind of hid those kind of away from sight there. A little scar in there, but what can you do? All right, let's move on. Hope for the best here. All right, so next thing we want to do is just get this boot off here, and that'll come off with this entire panel. So push past this tab here. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. And lean past that one. That one. Roll my boot. Out and over. Get that back in neutral. I can work with it. Now we got our little plug here. Undo your plug for your lighter. There we go. All right, undo that little tab there, and let's get this out of the way. Luckily, our shift boot is still in good shape here. That's great. So we're going to take our shifter off here so we can get the boot off of the shifter here. So the shifter itself will come off. Then we'll take our little plate here that's actually holds this boot in place. I'm guessing it's a 10 millimeter. Woo! I'm right. Trying to be careful with these bolts. I don't want to drop anything and be chasing bolts. All right, we're going to set this down here for now because we're going to need it in a second. Now we can pull all this off. All right. Luckily, our shift boot is still in pretty good shape. Now we need 8 millimeter for these 4 bolts here. Again, I'm trying to make sure I'm not going to lose these bolts. I will need to reuse these bolts I'm pulling out here. Yeah, I don't think this has ever come off before. There we go. All right. Everything's still pretty intact. That's awesome. You can see where that original shifter, the bottom of it was kind of rubbing against it, but it didn't tear a hole through it. We're in good shape, man. Now we got to do these 13 millimeter bolts here. Now these bolts will be replaced with MGW's bolts because their base is much thicker than the factory base. Again, I still don't want to lose them. So this has not been tampered with for at least 20 years. So now the next question is, how easily will this base come off? It's sealed on there pretty good. So should be a little trick here. Alright, we're gonna need a little more juice. Sometimes you can get a tool down here and pry against that, but I believe there's an easier way. That is a little more leverage. So I'll put it over here. Woo! All right, that's all it took. Some of the sealant came off, some of it stayed on. We're gonna try to clean up as much of that as we can. Get the rest of this gasket material off here. And when I'm doing this gasket, pulling this off, I'm trying to push from the inside out. That way the debris doesn't fall down in my transmission. Right? Kind of tedious position here. There's probably a better tool for this. The better tool may be a thumbnail. Oh, should have been using a thumbnail the whole time. So go grab you a Model 46 thumbnail when you want to clean your gaskets. Oh yeah, use a thumbnail. My gosh, wasting all this time with a razor blade. Jeez, oh Pete, that's what I should have been doing this whole time. I think we got it pretty clean and flat. We are ready to go back with our new shifter. So there she is. MGW for the T5, T45 style, which they do recommend that you put in the bump stops on this shifter. So we will, of course. They said you can run either one. You can run their gasket that they provide, which I'm going to, but they do recommend that you put Loctite on the bolts when you put them back in. Of course, you're going to be using their new bolts, but I definitely am going to be using their gasket, as opposed to the silicone coming back around. I just use this nice gasket. It's very high quality. I'm impressed with the gasket material we've got to choose from here. We'll set everything down here. I think it'd probably be easier just to lay this on there. Make sure I got that lined up right. Yep. All right, now come in with our shifter. Oh yeah. That'll seem to lay right in where we want it to. Now let's grab their bolts. And we are going to be putting some, although that bottle is red, it's actually the blue Loctite. So we're going to put a little dab of blue Loctite on each one of these bolts. When you're putting Loctite on, you don't need a bunch. So we're going to come in right here on the bottom threads. And that is plenty. All right, now we take our lock washer and our washer, thread the first dude in. All right, and repeat that process for all 4 bolts. And I am hand threading these dudes in pretty much to where they stop, almost to where it touches all the washers, because I don't want to cross thread in that aluminum transmission. That would suck a lot. Now we're going to put our set screws in. Make sure you're putting it with the Allen head where you can put the Allen wrench on it. So Allen head's poking out here and Allen head's poking out on there. The little donker raised part's going to be pointing towards your shift shaft there. I'm calling it shift shaft, I don't know. Lever maybe. I'm just going to run this in basically till I see it poking out on the other side. On the T5, T45 style transmission, the bump stops are important. Apparently the later transmissions, the internal bump stops apparently are much stronger and can hold up much better. So it's good to use the MGW bump stops. What they say is to pull down into fourth. He was really pulling on it, but dude, that thing ain't moving at all. So I'm gonna, I mean, there's no movement there. So anyway, I'm gonna run it right up to it, have it touch it. Boom, you saw it move. So I do see a reason. There's the touch, and then come off one full turn. So there's half a turn and another turn. All right. So I ran that bump stop all the way till it touched the shaft, and then I pulled it back off one full revolution. Now that I've done that, I'm gonna put my lock washer on, make sure that this set screw here does not move, and then I'm gonna put my finger on this thing so it doesn't turn, and put this nut on. All right, so now put my Allen key in there. I don't want to move my, there it is. All right, so now that I got my Allen key in there, I can hold that set screw in place while I tighten this nut down. So it's still in place, still where I want it. Holding that there. Grab my 9/16 and snug it up good and tight. Again, not allowing this Allen key to move. Put one more little touch on that. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, now we're going to repeat the process again for third gear. I can tell that's not going in. There, good. So run it in until it touches, and then I'm going to do one full turn off again. Put my lock washer on, put my Allen key in, and tighten this side up. This is set exactly where we want it. Man, that feels so different. I mean, just right here, I know that's crazy to say, but that's quite a bit different there. So now we put our, let's go ahead and put this on first. Get it over our set screws here. Make sure it's sealed up all the way around the bottom. I'm pulling a little bit of material down so it's over these set screws and touching on the bottom and creating a seal there too. Again, just trying to limit as much noise passing by with as many of these boots as we can. Our next step, this dude here. I'll slip this guy right in here. Okay, now we come back with the original bolts. We'll put this dude in here. They give us a little bit more sound deadening with this. So we'll wedge this guy in here, and that just gives us a little bit more sound deadening. Okay, had to change the battery, so next thing you do is putting on this little adapter here, slip it on there. The dude at MGW recommended, you know, that would be 6 o'clock. He said about 7 o'clock, so something like that, and I think that's where I'm going to run it. Something like that is what I'm looking at. Okay, and there's our new shifter. I went with the race shifter. They've got, I think, race, normal, and comfort or something like that, if I remember correctly, but they got 3 different style shifters. I went with the shortest, and because That's how I roll. I bet you that Momo is gonna fit on there. So that would put it about right there. Yeah, I'm gonna lean that towards me just a touch here. All right, get our boot back on. This shifter's a lot suckier than a, I hate to say suckier. I like the way the shifter feels, but you're not gonna have to deal with all what I just dealt with. This has got 3 pinch bolts that hold it onto the shaft, as opposed to all the other ones would screw on, or at least a majority of other ones. I think I got it. Shifter's in there. So now our shifter is, remember before is 4.5. The throw is the same. The throw is exactly the same. Very interesting. Now it is 8 and almost a quarter, right at a quarter. Now, if I remember correctly, it was 7.5 before. So what I did was I just took this and moved it to here. That's what I would think, in my opinion. Now, it does feel more precise, and I guess it's because the height is shorter, but the throw is very, I mean, if there's a difference, it isn't much. So now we went from, if I remember correctly, it was 4.25 and 8 and 7.5, which gave us 3.25 split, right? I mean, it's probably closer to an 1/8. Very interesting. Well, you know what? So this is about, it's the same. It's 4 and 7/8 to, so there you go. You know, trying to get really Nat's butt here. PG, 8 and an 1/8. So there you go. There's that 3.25 spread. Now, I think we were 8.5 before to the top of the shift. Now we're, the shift knob, now we're at 7, no, I'm sorry, 6.25. So about 2.25 inches shorter. The shift definitely feels better. It definitely feels better. It feels more, it don't feel as chunky, you know, and feels sloppy and rubbery, which if you saw on that old shifter, it had a big old rubber bushing between the actual shift lever and the next lever going down in the transmission, where this is all nice and solid. Feels pretty good. The pattern's the same. I think the spread is the same. It's just a little bit shorter now, and it feels more tight and precise as opposed to that spongy feel the factory had. Now, and the shifter is closer to me. I don't have to reach as far for it. That took some doing. About 1.5 hours total on this thing. Of course, I'll cut it down. There's the new shifter, MGW. I like it for how much more precise the shifting feels. It feels much more connected, you know, more mechanical. What I've gathered is if you go to the MGW short throw shifter, it doesn't seem that much shorter in the throw. You just saw me measure it up. Man, it's, I mean, I know it's not exactly dead on, but you know, I'm maybe 1/8 of an inch off. It's not a huge gain. I'm not knocking the shifter at all. I still am very happy with the shifter. It feels very connected to the transmission now, but to call it a short throw shifter, I guess in height, yeah, it's shorter this way, but the throw, it's not a short throw. You know, when I hear throw, I mean my throw from first to second, third to fourth, you know, that throw, that's your throw, has been shortened. And by my measurement, I don't see it. Do I still suggest getting it? yeah, I still suggest getting it because, again, of that connection. Just a straight line connection. You get rid of that rubbery feel of the shift. So it's a better connection for sure. It's worth it for that. And it's a little bit shorter in height, so you don't feel like you're up here so high. It feels a little bit sportier because it's lower. And so it sits your hand, your arm feels more comfortable, a little bit lower next to where you're sitting. Do I suggest it? Yeah. Would I recommend it? Yeah. Would I call it a short throw shifter? No, I don't think it is. I didn't expect to see that. I was expecting to see a significant change, you know, a ½ inch at least in the throw, but I'll look at the calculations again. But man, I'm not seeing it. Here's a little update. I just finished installing the shifter, and now I'm just out for a drive, just seeing how it feels, and it's pretty amazing. The throw, I swear, is not any shorter, but it being shorter in height, man, it really feels good and tight. Just everything about it feels really, really nice. I highly recommend it. Just the feel overall, height, where your hand rests on it, and how it shifts. The connection to the transmission now feels much more connected. That's the only way. And mechanical, not spongy. So it is definitely an upgrade. I would recommend. My cameraman is not doing very good here. He's doing the best he can, but it's very nice. Yeah, the shifter feels really good. Yeah, that's very nice. So anyway, I just want to add that on here at the end of the thing. I think the way it maybe sounded once I got it all together, it wasn't like I was happy with it. I'm definitely, after getting to drive it now, I am happy with the finished product. This is a good shifter, MGW shifter. I don't know if I call it a short throw, but it is shorter and it is much more connected feel. All right, everybody, that's it. God bless. Y'all have a good one.